We are just a couple weeks out from Christmas Day. That was tenor Anthony Kearns, who will be performing at the Capitol Hill Club this Wednesday, December the 14th, with Songs of the Season, hosted by Kirsten Fedewa, American Humane and Special Operations Association of America, along with Stars and Stripes and much, much more. For information and attending this amazing event, I am posting right here below, December 14th, holidaycocktails.eventbrite.com. I hope that you will, if you are inside the DC Beltway and you have an extra minute to spare, hop over to the Capitol Hill Club, which is obviously right in Washington, D.C., within the Beltway, to have a little bit of cocktails, hear tenor Anthony Kearns perform many beautiful Christmas songs. And also, as you hear American Humane talk about their Pups for Patriots, they will be joining us here in just a minute or two. We're going to have Amy Hrin, who is a Ph.D., and she is with the Pups for Patriots. She's going to be talking about the initiative, how service dogs are helping our veterans who have PTSD and also TBI. And also, she's going to be talking about the life-changing stories and the storytelling and just the power pack that they have been doing since World War I. So without further ado, I am honored to bring over to the show Dr. Amy Hrin. Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Welcome to Common Sense America.
Good morning, Eden. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So I played a little bit of Anthony Kearns music as we head into this beautiful Christmas and holiday season. And Kirsten Fedewa, I just want to send out a shout out to thank her for bringing us together and also for basically having you guys sponsor this amazing event for our veterans Wednesday, December the 14th at Capitol Hill Club in Washington, D.C. Without further ado, I would love to hear about Pups for Patriots. I was watching some of the YouTube clips and all the life-changing stories, but please share a little bit about American Humane and the Pups for Patriots program.
You bet. Absolutely. Well, this is such an inspiring program. I'm so grateful that I get to work with our military veterans and service dogs every day. And it really just starts with, we think about there's a real need out there for our veterans who are dealing with the after effects of war. So coming home after serving, that's just the beginning of another battle for many of our veterans. And I'm talking about the invisible wounds of war, post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury. And unfortunately, 1 in 4 combat veterans are diagnosed with PTS. And too often, the lack of treatment can result in the taking of their own lives. The symptoms of these invisible wounds can be very debilitating. You know, we see so many of our veterans experience just a disconnection from their loved ones. They don't feel that emotion after they come back from their experiences and the trauma that they've seen. They have difficulty concentrating, focusing. They become very hypervigilant. Many of our veterans, some of the symptoms are, you know, they want to avoid public places and loud, crowded places. You can see when they're in those spaces, they can be constantly scanning the crowd for threats. They're looking for exits. They always want to have their back against a wall so they can see exits. And it's really challenging for not only a veteran, but their entire family. You know, when they're out with their spouses and children, it can be really difficult. So what can we do about this?
Talk to us about those precious baby dogs.
Yes, these heroes, the answer comes in the form of a wagging tail. These dogs have been so amazing, the results that we've seen and what they can do for veterans. So because of this need, this is why American Humane formed the Pups for Patriots program 5 years ago. And we were just thrilled that we've been able to help almost 80 veterans already, provide them with a service dog. And these dogs are ones that are in need are in need of forever home. And we train them to be life-saving service dogs to specifically mitigate the symptoms of post-traumatic stress. And the best part of this program is it's at no cost to the veteran.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. How is that? How is it funded then? Is it privately funded through generous donations or it is?
It
Okay.
is, absolutely.
Okay.
This is all through the generous donations of people who care about our military, corporate sponsors,
Mhm.
foundations, but also those individuals who, so many of us are from military families or
Yes.
military spouses like
Yes.
you, that
Yes.
this is really a powerful program that speaks to a lot of people. So we really do rely on the generosity of our donors.
And how do you pair up the veteran and the dog? What's that whole process look like?
It's really interesting. I always say it's a little bit science and a little bit magic. We
Okay.
really like to, obviously, the dogs are very well trained. They're selected to be dogs that love people, who love to be in public, who are confident, who are okay with other dogs, who aren't
Mhm.
startled easy. I mean, these are really easygoing, resilient pups because we really want veterans to have that confidence to go out in public. So we want that dog to be very used to seeing lots of different sounds, smells, flooring, lights, all those things that dogs can take in that we don't realize.
Mhm.
And then the other half of the other end of the leash, obviously, is making sure the veteran is in a place. Is this something, a modality they would benefit right now in their
Right.
PTS journey?
Mhm.
Because you and I both know dogs can be a lot of work.
Yes,
So
they
we want to
can.
make sure ready for that, the shedding and the grooming and the walking. And
Yes.
but what we find are, all of those things are so worth it for the veterans that are in a place where they could really benefit from this. And
Mhm.
that's where it comes in, where we match the dog with the veteran. So we want to try to find out everything we possibly can about the veteran. Is this a veteran who has several small children? Is this a veteran
Mhm.
who likes to go running? Are they
Mhm.
in an office cubicle most of the day? So that we can
Mhm.
really choose the best personality of dog that will be the best fit for that veteran. We try to expose the dogs to everything that veteran might deal with. We had a veteran who lives in Florida, and around his community, he rode a golf cart around. So we did plenty of practicing, making sure the service dog was comfortable in the golf cart. We have another veteran who works at a trucking terminal. So our trainers
Oh.
set up the truck stop and got the dog exposed to all those trucking noises. So we really want to expose the dog to as much as possible, given what we know about that veteran's lifestyle, so they can be the perfect match.
Oh, that's powerful. We live here in Eastern North Carolina. This show has a wide audience from New York to California to Florida. But here in Eastern North Carolina, we have more than 9,000 veterans just in our county alone, along with the military personnel from Camp Lejeune, Cherry Point. Also, Fort Bragg is about 2 hours from here. So the retiree community we live in is both young and older generation from Vietnam to Iraq to current day. And, the invisible wounds you talk about, if you are, a spouse or a caregiver or a family member or a daughter or son who may not necessarily understand about the invisible wound aspect versus the obvious, those visible wounds, it seems to me that this program would be a benefit not just to the veteran themselves, but also to that family member or those family members to kind of help that process along and help that healing journey along. Wouldn't you say?
You're so right. It makes such a difference to the entire family. Even
Mhm.
when we're starting out the process, we are sure to talk to the spouses, because a lot of times spouses, parents, they can tell us about the veteran's triggers and stress
Yes.
points almost more than the veteran can.
Yes.
They know when they're out in public and I see my husband start to look around, or I can start to see him
Mhm.
sweat a little bit, I'll know that it's time to leave. Or, think about the kiddos who understand that, dad can't always stay at my football game. He
Yep.
stands kind of off in the distance and can't, stand at the sidelines with the other parents. And so it really does impact the entire family, which is what
Mhm.
we love about the service dogs, being able to help the entire family. So
Yeah.
that burden doesn't fall as heavily on the family. The veteran can rely on their service dog to be there at their side, to give them that confidence, that symptom management, so they
Mhm.
can re-engage in all their family activities. They can take their wife out to dinner again and be
Yes.
comfortable. They can go shopping with the kiddos. There's so much that some veterans are hesitating on or are
Mhm.
limited by. And with
Mhm.
a service dog, it can be a tremendous help.
Talk to us about the process with the application process. So I was looking at some of your YouTube interviews with and some of the stories, which I want to talk about a little bit later. But what is it for the veteran to actually come to the American Humane? Is it through the VA? Is it through the Fisher House? Is it through some veteran service organizations that say, you know what, let's pair you up with the American Humane? What does that process look like? And do you have those collaboration points?
We do, and we wish we would have even more because surprisingly, we do lack for veterans applying for the program. We don't have any waiting lists for our service dogs.
Oh,
So we
wow.
really encourage, and thank you for having us on here so we can get the word out that we have trained service dogs that will be ready very soon are waiting for their veterans. So it's a very easy process to start the application. You just go to americanhumane.org. We
Okay.
have our brief application on there that the veteran fills out. Then from there, an American Humane Ambassador will help walk each veteran through the process because,
Okay.
as you can imagine, we're asking for various paperwork, videos,
Yes.
and things like that.
Yes.
So it can be a little bit daunting. So that's why we have our person that helps every veteran step by step, hand holding. What can we
Yeah.
help? This is the next piece because it can really be overwhelming to apply for a service dog and all the requirements. So that's why it's important that at American Made, we really want to walk you through the process, make sure that this is the best fit for you, that we can make you, help you with your disabilities and help with your symptoms.
Mm. What are some of the powerful stories of healing that you have personally experienced just working day in and day out with this amazing outreach that you have to our veteran community?
There's so many. It's hard to choose one. I think about how we have veterans tell us that they received a promotion at work due to their service dog. We have a veteran who recently sang the national anthem at a local event with his service dog by his side. So many things that the veterans hadn't accomplished, graduating, walking across the stage to get the diploma with the service dog at their side. I think
Mm.
one of my favorite, most recent stories is about U.S. Army veteran Sean and his service dog Rainier. And
Okay.
when Sean came to us, he's actually a nurse at the VA in their audiology clinic.
Oh,
And
wow.
he told us that when he goes to work, he goes into his office, he shuts the door, and he does not interact with anybody. He doesn't know his coworkers well.
Mm.
He's very guarded.
Hmm.
So now that Rainier is going to work with him every day, Sean sent me a photo the other day. It was Rainier's birthday, and all of Sean's coworkers threw Rainier a party. Everybody's wearing birthday hats. There's cakes. There's dog toys everywhere. So it's just so fun to see that Sean is a different person. He's back to his old self,
Hmm.
thanks to Rainier, and he can really engage with those social relationships again, which is wonderful.
Oh, that's really special. Let me ask you about the dogs and how you get these dogs. How are you acquiring these dogs? Are you going to shelters? And how is this all coming to be with the animal piece of it?
Yeah, it's a variety of sources. We have
Okay.
6 training locations across the US, and
Okay.
each trainer is always scouring their local area, going to shelters, rescues. Many
Okay.
times there are Facebook groups where military communities maybe need to surrender their dog if they're moving. So we try to
Oh, okay.
stay in touch with those communities as well.
Mhm.
We have a few breeders who are generous enough to donate dogs. We have dogs that are what we call career change, that maybe have been scent detection dogs who don't love to sniff out as much as they like to hang out with people. So we have some of those other working dog programs that come
Mhm.
and are wonderful service dogs as well.
Let me ask you a little bit about the history of American Humane. I am familiar with it thanks to Kirsten and the years of, promoting it through her different holiday events. But for the audience, it's primarily women, but there is a percentage of men who love this show, and they are very engaged on the kitchen table issues. And it is really talking about what's affecting our families, what's affecting our nation's backyard. Talk to us a little bit about the fact of American Humane and how it really came to be back in, what was it, World War One? It's been around that long, working with our military and our veterans.
Yes. So American Humane is the oldest animal welfare organization in the world, founded in 1877. And we are just so grateful that we have this longstanding relationship with the US military for a century. So originally, our work with the military began on the battlefields of World War I Europe, when at the request of the US Secretary of War, volunteers with American Humane were deployed to rescue and care for wounded horses on the battlefield. So
Oh my
that's how
goodness.
our original work with the military started. And so we're just so proud to continue that legacy today.
Oh, that's really neat. It's really special to hear that aspect of what American Humane has been doing since that time period and now to date. Do you also work with the active duty military with regards to providing dogs for the field? Do you have any collaboration points with active duty for any of the services, or is it primarily just post military veterans? How does that look with American Humane?
Yeah, it's primarily post-military, people who are no longer active duty, but we do also work some with military bases and
Okay.
handlers who have retired military working dogs. You know,
Okay.
those bomb sniffing, scent detection
Yes.
patrol dogs. And
Yes.
those dogs are ready to retire, usually medically around, age 7, 8. And they're ready to be adopted by one of their handlers that they've worked with throughout their career. They usually work with about 5 different handlers, our military dogs. And so American Humane is there when that dog is ready to come home and retire on US soil. American Humane will cover all the transportation costs and logistics
Oh.
of bringing that dog from whatever international base they're on to the adopting handler's hometown. And
Mhm.
then we provide lifetime veterinary care for that military dog as well.
Oh, that's so special. I would love to hear a little bit about you and how you were brought to this point of working with American Humane and just your background of your personal journey to your professional journey here. How has it impacted you, and how did you come to be working with American Humane? What was that like for you?
I think I'm just very lucky. I have been with American Humane for 15 years
Oh,
now,
wow.
and I am just blessed to get to do what I do every day. The people that I get to work with has been is equally life-changing for me as well.
Mm,
My grandfather served in World War II. My dad was in the Army Guards, and so it is meaningful to me. The way I
mm,
was raised to know that our military is such a special group and so powerful in being able to help and interact. The people that I get to talk with are veterans every day, and I see their faces. I get the
yeah.
notes from them that the dogs have been helping them, and it is just the most tremendously rewarding job. I
Mm.
grew up not even having a pet,
Yeah.
and finally, when I got married, I got a dog, and now I have about 3 of them. So,
Oh, wow.
um, well, I understand the impact of the human animal bond and how much love, that unconditional love that dogs can give us. And I
Mhm.
see that with our veterans every day. And it is just so powerful. Again, I feel just incredibly blessed to get to do what I do every day.
Oh my goodness, I would say so. I would love to have a couple fur babies here in our home, and the one thing that my husband says, he doesn't want the mess, and I said, "You know, aside from the mess, it would just be great to have a couple here. I think it would be good." We got married later in life, so we don't have any kids, but we adopt 10,000 kids in our neighborhood, but just having a dog like that, I just think would be so it's calming for the spirit. It's adventurous, and it's also just what a provides an additional presence of security from what I've seen with other service dogs. One question about when we go into a restaurant and we see a service dog, what is it for? I'm instantly drawn to the dog. I want to go pet it and everything, or in an airport. But isn't there a certain, you have to be very careful with those service dogs because they're trained in a certain way. So, what is it for the child who sees a service dog and doesn't know any different, or for me who just loves dogs and says, "Okay, I can't wait to hug the dog"? What are the kind of like the boundaries of being careful and respectful of that service dog, knowing that they have a job to do?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that because we call it service dog etiquette. And it's really important because a
Yeah.
lot of times when veterans are working with dogs that are relatively new to them, it can be a little bit stressful with distractions. And so I think the more we as the public can be educated on what that looks like and what is helpful and not helpful is really helps our veterans as well. Because like you said, we're all attracted to dogs. I think adults might even be worse than the kiddos going to see the dog.
Yeah.
But it's important that when you see a service dog working, that you don't pet them, that
Okay.
you don't even ask to pet them, because that dog right there is performing some very important duties for that veteran or handler. And so, and if you're around with your own personal dog or have treats on you, of course, don't let your dog approach the service dog. Don't try to treat the service dog. And a lot of it is, you're attracted to the dog, but thinking about the handler, talking to the handler and not the dog, not asking, what is that dog for?
Right.
Just being polite about it. So many of our veterans, aren't comfortable with people standing too close or coming up behind them. And so just being respectful of their space. In fact, that's one of the tasks that our service dogs are trained to do, to be recognized under the Americans with Disability Act. It's important that the service dog perform tasks that directly mitigate the handler's symptoms. Our service dogs are trained to create space around the veteran. By on cue, the veteran can ask the dog to stand in front or position behind them, especially when things like standing in line in the store and
Right.
behind them can be uncomfortable. So they
Right.
can have their dog positioned behind them and just kind of create, during COVID, we were pretty good about that 6 feet space, but
Yeah.
it's still important to have that
Yeah.
service dogs too, have that space around them. The other thing the service dogs are trained to do is pick up when the veteran may be starting to escalate their anxiety. We can have the dog, depends on what the dog likes to do, but they'll do what we call a grounding technique to sort of ground the veteran into the present moment by either having the dog put their paw on them. Some dogs will lean against the veteran's leg, but somehow physically solicit the veteran's attention so they can take a moment, pet the dog, focus in on them, feel that tactile stimulation, start their breathing again, and decide, is this a situation I need to leave or stay? But, kind of bringing them back to the present, grounding them in what's going on with the dog, as opposed to having their kind of head start to go, thinking about other options.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. What will you and American Humane, will you be at Kirsten's event on Wednesday? And what will American Humane be presenting at the event?
Yes, we will be there this Wednesday. Hope everybody can join us. And our own Laura Sheehan will be there presenting and talk even more about the Pups for Patriots program to everybody there. And we will have one of our teams, service dog Cody will be there as well, James and Cody. And for this one event, we are allowing Cody to be pet. So you don't have to worry about the etiquette tips. You're allowed to pet Cody at this event. So we can just spread the word of the benefit of service dogs and just such a wonderful holiday tribute to all of our veterans.
And a final question, I wanted to ask you this. When service dogs go into any public location, is it automatically known now that if you go into a supermarket, you go into Macy's, or you go into Starbucks, is it automatically known that is a service dog? It is okay to come into the store? What is it, a universal thing now, or is it still location by location? Is it still by private store? How does that work for the veteran with their service dog so they don't feel like they're limited in going into different locations?
Yeah, that's a great question because it is very confusing because the rules are different depending where you're at. That's why another part of our training includes that handler training so we can educate the veteran handlers on the different ADA laws and rules about where service dogs are allowed and not. Service dogs can come into public restaurants, but they cannot go into the kitchen area. They're allowed into hospital rooms, but they cannot go into any of the sterile environment rooms. So it really depends. And these are all public places. There are private areas, churches, golf clubs, all of those are places that you would need special permission to bring a service dog. So we really do a lot of education with our veterans to help them understand their access rights. And I think there's still a little bit of a lack of training in the public, though, of what we call the gatekeepers. So the clerk
Okay.
at the hotel, or maybe the maitre d' at the restaurant, educating some of those frontline people as well, so that they understand what
Mhm.
questions they can ask under the
Okay.
ADA law, which are
Uh-huh.
2 questions. You can ask, is that a service dog?
Uh-huh.
Then what tasks does that dog perform for you? So that you can't ask anything about the handler's disability. You cannot ask the dog to perform anything, but
Mhm.
it's important for our veteran handlers where we have them trained so that when they are questioned, they
Mhm.
understand what the person is looking for. They want to know this is a service dog who will behave in this environment and the task
Mhm.
provide for them. So, yeah, the more I think we can get the word out there about service
Sure.
dogs and understanding what their rights are and where their public access rights are. Dogs can
Mhm.
sit on the chair in the restaurant, but they can be tucked underneath the
Yes.
your seat at the restaurant. So I think there
Yes.
still is a lot of confusion and opportunities for education to make veterans' lives easier as they're navigating their lives day to day with their dog.
No, most definitely. And having you here at Common Sense America just continues to educate the audience even more on understanding service dogs, understanding their tasks, understanding their proper etiquette, and understanding how we can get more veterans involved and paired them up for a very healthy life. I love hearing some of the stories that are shared in the YouTube, and they are shared here on Common Sense America, and just talking about how these service dogs have literally saved these veterans' lives. And it's absolutely one thing, it's beautiful, but two, it's just so empowering to see these veterans have that strength again, that they can believe in themselves and also believe in the fact that they have this amazing companion, thanks to American Humane and what you are doing. On a final note, where can we help American Humane? Is it donating? Is it volunteering? Is it having you guys back to the show? Do you have upcoming events in addition to this Christmas event? Where are ways my audience and I can get involved and serve and assist?
Absolutely. And I know you've referenced the YouTube. To learn more about all of our pairs and this program is to visit American Humane's YouTube page and look for the American Humane in Action episode that is called Serving Those Who Serve Us. And we absolutely rely on the generosity of donors. So if anybody would like to support this Pups for Patriots program and help military veterans receive life-saving service dogs, go to AmericanHumane.org.
Okay, fabulous. Well, Amy Hrin, Ph.D., National Director, Lois Pope Life Center for Military Affairs and Special Projects. I am so grateful for you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thank you again for your service.
Thank you. Same to you. Appreciate you having me.
All right, have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
For all of those who are tuning in, this is Common Sense America. I am Eden Hill. I am so grateful for each and every one of your support to this show. Thank you. It is Monday, December the 12th, and we just had American Humane on. We had Pups for Our Patriots on. What a powerful program that is helping our veterans in life-saving and life-changing ways. And also, if you are interested and you are in Washington, D.C., this Wednesday, I encourage you to attend the Capitol Hill event hosted by Kirsten Fedewa and American Humane. They will be featuring Anthony Kearns, the tenor you heard performing Silver Bells this morning. And in addition to that, Special Operations Association of America, American Humane, and many members of Congress, also book authors and our veterans. What an amazing way in the season of